Ukrainian soldiers from the Aquila strike drone company of the Steel Border Brigade are holding their positions in the North Slobozhansky and Kursk directions. Over the past day, they managed to detect and destroy 5 Russian shelters along with their personnel, several communication antennas, and 2 vehicles belonging to the invaders with precise strikes. And on the South Slobozhansky section of the front, operators from the Fury strike drone company worked effectively against the Russian army. The border guards targeted enemy positions and movement routes, destroying 3 Russian shelters and several vehicles. At the same time, the situation in Kupiansk and the settlement of Kupiansk in the Kharkiv region remains stable, despite attempts by Russian occupiers to break through east of the settlement and push Ukrainian forces from the left bank of the Oskol River. According to Ukrainian military reports, the Russians are trying to partially replenish their forces using reserves, but they're not building up enough for large-scale attacks.
In Kupiansk, the situation is under the control of the armed forces of Ukraine. As of the weekend, there were about 40 Russian army servicemen remaining inside the city. They're being defended there, being driven out, and it's perfectly clear that this is not easy to do because the enemy is also entrenched in the urban area. And that's the point of filtration, to infiltrate and gain a foothold. After that, you have to root them out.
Meanwhile, in the Lyman direction, Ukrainian soldiers repelled attacks by the invaders in the areas of Kharkivka, Zalechna, and towards Stavki. In the Kostiantynivka sector, Russian troops launched assaults near Pleshevka, Poltavka, Stepanovka, and Sofiivka. And near Pokrovsk, in the hottest sector, Russian invaders tried to break through the Ukrainian defenses near Shakove, Rodenske, Mirnohrad, Kotlina, and toward Filia.
Air assault troops were actively and systematically driving out and pushing back units of the regular Russian military forces from the industrial zone, from the central area, from the main train station, and are currently holding them at the railway line. These troops are maintaining their positions and ensuring that the Russian units are unable to regain control of these strategically important locations. That is, elements and factors of stabilization, which are crucial in such situations, are now coming into play in the ongoing and intense fight to hold and secure the northern part of the city, as well as to prevent the enemy forces from further entrenching themselves in the areas where they have already managed to enter and establish a presence. A separate but still highly relevant and important issue that must be addressed is the matter of maintaining the logistical supply routes, which are essential for continued operations. These vital supply lines remain, for the time being, to the north of Pokrovsk, ensuring that support and resources can still reach the necessary positions.
In the Konstantinivka direction, Russian occupiers attempted an assault in the area of responsibility of the 93rd Separate Mechanized Brigade Holodny Yar. However, Ukrainian fighters managed to repel yet another attack by enemy armored vehicles, inflicting significant losses on the Russian occupiers' personnel. Meanwhile, soldiers from the Ukrainian reconnaissance unit Kraken are carrying out a mission in the Zaporizhia region. They shared exclusive footage online of successful strikes and the elimination of Russian invaders over the past week. During this time, the Special Forces destroyed dozens of Russian hideouts, eliminated hundreds of infantrymen, shot down reconnaissance and attack drones, and burned enemy armored vehicles. In total, over the past day alone, Ukraine's defense forces eliminated 1,190 Russian occupiers. The total losses of the Russian army since the start of the full-scale invasion have exceeded 1,166,000 soldiers. These figures were announced by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Additionally, the defenders destroyed 3 tanks, 5 armored vehicles, 41 artillery systems, and 84 units of automotive equipment.
And joining us now is Pavlo Lakachuk, Head of Military Programs at the Center for Global Studies, Strategy 21. Hello, thank you for joining us.
Good evening, glory to Ukraine.
Glory to the heroes. Well then, let's start with this. A war of attrition. You mentioned this on air before, and now we also see from international partners that the Russian Federation, out of desperation, is taking exactly these kinds of steps. But how long can Russia keep this up? Wage a war of attrition? Yes, let's be honest, they have more manpower, more missiles, their own production, plus so-called partners like Iran and North Korea. So, given the international pressure, including from the US, how long can Russia play the long game?
That depends on many factors. The nuances that you mentioned in particular are not absolutes or fixed values. Rather, these are relative figures, which means they can change depending on the context or perspective. Both Ukraine and Russia, as examples, demonstrate this relativity in different ways. Are different countries in terms of territory, population, military-industrial potential, and overall industrial capacity. But when you start comparing military potential and military capabilities, it turns out they're not exactly the same thing. Even as recently as 4 years ago, I also personally shared and supported the viewpoint of assessing and evaluating states or countries by their overall military potential and capabilities, for example by considering and analyzing their traditional manpower potential and resources. There's a straightforward and simple measurement that is often used in this context, specifically the number of males who are aged between 18 and 54.